All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to what is hopefully a stream that's properly working. We'll find out. I don't know, because this is, as you may or may not know, the way that they're doing Hangouts now or doing YouTube things. The way we normally do our show is going away. So now I'm trying a new thing, and the new thing has a bunch of different controls I've got to figure out. So I don't know if you can hear me or not. Tom, has it come up yet? Do you see it?
No, like you're not on. Like you're not live right now. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, it says I am.
I don't think you are. Oh, you are live. It just says Vince Ventrella live stream. You didn't change the title, did you?
I did change the title.
Hmm.
Well, why don't you tell me whether or not you.
This is the worst layout in the world.
So is it actually working? Can you see us?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right. Well, hey, this works. Look, man, I'll play with the layout, okay? This is as good as I can figure it out for now. I don't know what I'm doing, all right? That's that. So anyway, it's myself and Tom and Paul. Hey, Paul, how you doing, buddy?
Fabulous. How are you?
By the way, Paul, just to clarify, this does not count as an official appearance on Warhammer Weekly, so you do not get to count this
Right.
to
this
hit.
Is a Vince Ventrella live stream.
Right. This is a supplementary show.
I don't know what the count for those is. I mean, I've been in several of those. I still want my damn embroidered, monogrammed smoking jacket, but I'm still waiting.
I'll work on it. I'll see what we can do. So, hopefully, Tom says it's working, so that's good. Hopefully, it is working, and you can all see us.
It's like kind of working.
Gotcha.
There. It's really weird. Like, it's like the worst.
So
thanks, Tom.
YouTube's new format that we're all being subject to. What are we talking about tonight, kids?
Indeed. We'll play with that as we go. For now, we'll deal with the improper format. I apologize, everybody. I promise we'll get better with it. That's why we're doing it now, so that it's not harder later, because we have until August 1st to figure this out. Okay? Is there actually sound? That's really the question. Like, can people hear us?
Is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All the sound is coming through.
Off, like, because of the delay, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. We're good. Did you all go away?
No, I'm still here. I was actually turning it over on my other screen because I haven't figured out how to bring the chat in. I thought it happened automatically, but it doesn't. So I'll figure that out.
No, I'm chatting with people.
Okay.
I just opened another window.
No, that's fine. Good. All right. Well, anyways, let's get into this. So over in the bottom corner here, since I can now have multiple things on the screen, and it's real tiny.
So tiny.
But look, man, I can bring it up if I want and cover your dumb face. Like, here, I'll do it right now. Boom. Your face is gone. How you like that, Tom? No more face for you.
It's not like that on the stream yet. Is the delay?
Well, it'll be like that in a second. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I've covered your whole face over. There it is.
Okay.
No more Tom anymore on the stream. All right. So at any rate, we're going to talk about.
Just point out we still haven't gotten to the point.
No point yet. No point.
This is actually became more serious than I initially wanted. Like, I wanted to do the first test of this just as a, screwing around, paint a sode, talking about nothing. But the only day we had available was the same day as open day. So there it is. Anyways, here's a big line. Martin Orlando's in this line somewhere. Hi, Martin. Okay, now let's keep going. The important thing from the first reveal is this, which we already saw a picture of. But this is the Ravaged Lands Shattered Storm Vault, right?
But I can't see what you're pointing at.
I understand, but the users can. That's why I said it out loud, Tom.
Okay. I'm so confused. What's happening?
So,
okay.
At any rate, I'm afraid if I share my screen, the world will implode in on itself, okay? To you guys.
It's possible. It's possible.
I can try. We can continue screwing this up if you want.
No.
Okay.
No. Just do it.
Okay, great. So at any rate, did everybody see the new Warcry terrain, which is a big Storm Vault that clearly comes with a mat meant to match the Storm Vault, right?
I did. And I like the mat. It's really pretty.
Yeah, I think that's actually looks super good. Like, pretty darn cool. I dig that.
I am very excited to buy my first set of Dominion, like Stormbolt terrain, Dominion of Sigmar. Like it's like I want that box now. I don't want another Garden of War.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't like lead with this. I guess they just had the Garden of Moor probably already boxed up, right? And this had more lead time to get it in this special box because they had to like make a second package, get the base, the mat printed or whatever. But this looks gorgeous. So it kind of dictates your paint scheme for the terrain itself because of the color of the mat, right? Because it has the same tiles.
I was looking for a paint scheme. I was looking for a paint scheme that I liked. I like that paint scheme, so that's convenient.
Actually, it was pretty cool. It's like I looked at it and I was like, oh, actually that looks really good. I should have done something like that. All right. So that's Warcry stuff, and they showed a bunch of it. At any rate, so let's keep moving. Let's get to the biggest news of the day, in my personal opinion. That's right. I don't worry. Eventually, I'll figure out this stream enough. You can like bring in little sounds and stuff to this, where I can hit a button and it'll go wah, 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 wah. You know, I can do that kind of stuff. Now I just gotta do it with my mouth. But that's what it's gonna do. So, Cities of Sigmar. How about that? How about it?
You're just excited about this because you called this like a year and a half ago.
You're absolutely correct. I did. Paul, first of all, what do you think of me being so right? How about that? Let's talk about how right I was.
At this point, I'm just kind of used to it.
Ooh, wow.
Yes. Appreciate that.
That makes one of us.
No, this is super cool. So just to bring everybody up to speed, in case by some way they didn't hear yet, this is basically this is literally the thing that Tom and I had joked about or wishlisted or whatever you want to call it, or prophesized, which was, let's take all the Dangler Order factions, right? The humans, the dwarves, and the elves that defend the cities. And I think we had called them, what was our name for it originally?
I think you literally said Cities of Sigmar.
I know I didn't. I called it like Defenders of the Realms, I think is what I called it, right?
Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, but at any rate, it's this. So, Paul, being a Free Peoples person, and you've had a love-hate relationship with the Free Peoples, right?
Yep.
And this being effectively like this is just Firestorm written into a full book that officially brings everything together into a bunch of real armies. Like, this is 7 or 8 independent real allegiance to armies, Scourge Privateers and Free People and just all that order stuff. Dracothian and Phoenicium probably, and even the smaller stuff. Yeah.
They've listed all 7, and they are the 7 from Firestorm.
Yeah. So the Iron Swelled and the Collegiate Arcane and blah, 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 all brought together in one big book with their own allegiance abilities and spells and lores and prayers and, well, probably not prayers, but you get the idea. No devoted. So that's still on the table. But anyways, Paul, I'll shut up now.
Hey,
what do you think about this?
We don't know that devoted's not on the...
I thought they weren't in the list.
Oh.
They're not in any of the cities, right?
Oh, not currently, but like...
They could add them.
We'll see.
Yeah, they could add them.
I think we're in one of them.
I'd have to go pull my Firestorm book.
Well, they're at least in a Hammer Hall, because Hammer Hall is everything but Seraphon.
Oh, yeah, good call. Yeah, you're right.
So at bare mins, they're in Hammer Hall.
All right, so Paul, let's let Paul talk.
I'm being told that I'm inaudible. Is that true?
I don't know. Can we not hear Tom?
I can hear you.
Somebody...
No, I can hear myself, like when I turn on my audio.
Okay, I could say... I was just saying.
In the video.
I think they just meant you were too quiet.
Oh. Well, I mean, I don't know how that's possible.
Sure. Well, let's shut up and let Paul talk, because he's the actual Free People player.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with cautiously optimistic. That's my general feeling on it. I can see... What I was honestly hoping for myself was for Free People to get their own book and it just be the reassembly of the Empire all back into one thing.
Yeah, that definitely did not happen.
Yeah, and so that's not exactly what we got, but each of these is kind of like, I think there's going to be like at least one city that's all of that. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm nervous that they'll screw it up. That said, I don't think free people can be any worse than they currently are. Like, realistically, if we're gonna, like, they can just like slap a new coat of paint on it and give them different abilities. But I mean, it can't get worse. So I think possibly better is like the only real trajectory we have from where we're at now. Because free people right now are just not good.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it brings back in all your ancillary stuff to not be allies, right? You actually legitimately
Yeah.
have them under a real allegiance, so you can like actually have wizards and actually have guns, like cannons is what I mean, like heavy artillery, and that's not all coming out of allies
Yeah.
points, or you're not in Grand Alliance order anymore, right? So, I mean, at minimum, I don't know how you don't get better.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, I have certainly some concerns about how the whole thing will shake out. Um, but that's more of a big picture thing. I think as far as playing free people, I think it's going to be better than it was before. Hopefully, like if certain things, like let's say Iron Weld Arsenal, it like just as an example, like Gray Water Fastness has free peoples and Iron Weld Arsenal in it, but it doesn't have Collegiate Arcane. So I would hope that you could take Collegiate Arcane as an ally in
Well,
Greywater Fastness.
Sure.
here's the good news: Greywater Fastness has Stormcast, Free Peoples, Ironweld Arsenal, Collegiate Arcane, and Wanderers.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yep, there you
Cool.
go.
Well, the question's still very valid, right? Because the question is, will the options of like other cities be valid allies? Like that's a great question. Like pick whatever one you like for the city you like that doesn't have a thing. Does it become an ally for that city, right? Yeah, the interesting thing to me here is we should mention, a stealth Stormcast book, but it won't
Yeah.
actually benefit Stormcast at all, I suspect. Because what's going to happen is it'll be like they'll just play the keyword bingo like they played with Skaven and
Yep.
with Gits and
Yep.
stuff, where they say, the free people keyword stuff get this, and the Duerden keyword people or whatever dispossessed keyword people get this, and so on and so forth, right? So they don't need to actually worry about it too much. So like, yeah, you'll have Stormcast, but they won't benefit much at all from the allegiance abilities. Like, chances are the new spells will be like your Collegiate Arcane wizards may select this thing, right?
Right.
Like that's what's going to happen. So like you ally in a Stormcast wizard into this army, or not ally, but you bring him in, he won't have access to his Stormcast spells, and he won't have access to the new list, so he's basically
Well, we
just
don't know that. I mean,
a
like
wizard.
he might be like, I don't see why he wouldn't have access to the like Greywater Fastness spells.
Maybe. It depends on how they key the lists.
Right.
Because
No, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I would agree with that.
yeah. So like it's a question of, do they go sort of Git style and say like a Gloomspite Git's wizard has access to this spell, right? Or do they go Slanesh style or something, or Skaven style, right? Where you have a spell that's specifically dedicated for for Scryer, and you
Well,
have a
let me say this: you could see the Stormcast. Like, I could see a world where the Stormcast spells get imported directly in.
sure, they could just be still picked.
Right. So, like wizards, like Stormcast wizards can choose from one of these 6 spells, and it's just the normal Stormcast list. Like, I could see a world where that happens.
So they could have partial things, right? Where they're not lightning
Yeah.
striking anymore because it
Right.
represents that they're already here,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, I could imagine a world. Now, will they do that? I don't know, but they could. Like, and that's half of a page of text, right? Like, that's not a lot if they wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah. I think personally, I think the best possible way that this could go is it being very similar to the way that the Skaven book works, where everybody basically keeps the allegiance abilities that they have right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then you pick a city on top of that, and like if you keep, or if you have like I don't know, like a Swift Hawk agents hero in your army, then it turns on the Swifthawk agent's allegiance abilities for
Right.
those units.
Yep.
And then you have like the city abilities on top of that as like your overall allegiance abilities.
Right. That's what
Okay.
governs the sort of parent abilities. Yeah.
Yep.
So can I say something contentious?
Sure, man.
It's what you do best.
I wonder if we're going to see Swifthawk in its current form, or if we are going to see a reimagining of even the sub factions themselves.
Oh, you mean they restructure the sub factions underneath it?
Yep.
Sure, they
The
could.
reason why I say that is because my concern is with like Swifthawk, like they have announced as part of this announcement with the Free People cities that they are going to be potentially sending to Legends a number of war scrolls. And the reality is like of the extant Swifthawk agents war scrolls, like 3 of them are no longer in production at all, like
Right.
0 production. Which leaves like Shadow Warriors and the Chariots, like the Sky Wardens, and so technically it's 3 units, but it's only 2 boxes. And it makes me wonder, like, if that doesn't just get rolled into some other set of sub factions. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, sure, they could restructure the sub factions. I mean, we should cover the things we definitely know, right, before we just get to conjecture, which is the things we definitely know both from the talk and from and from the sort of discussion around it is they are absolutely touching war scrolls, right? Because they said, like, Sam had tweeted out, and Sam is the lead rules guy for this, which I'm excited about. I think Sam is a really good rules writer. And he said, basically, we reconsidered all the war scrolls, recontextualized them, updated them. There was discussion in the seminar that they are trying to redo Cav because right now Cav is kind of worthless. And as they said, I think their exact quote was, "It hits like a wet fish."
Yeah.
So
it's like a noodle.
there you go. So having the war scrolls redone is good. And so we know that's the case, and we know that some of the units in this big, giant, broad range are going to be hitting the bin, like they're going to Legends. So we're going to lose some, mostly like the probably out of production or out of print or old stuff,
Yeah. Like metal stuff, likely metal stuff, and old. My guess would be likely metal stuff and stuff that's no longer available.
Right.
You can bet on that.
And personally, I would think a bunch of the like tiny dangler factions, like the White Lions, might go away.
It could be the aren't the Lion Rangers still a current box though?
I mean, define a current box. Like they were released in 2011.
They're plastic and they're still on
they're
squares,
plastic.
but they're plastic.
Yes, and they were never reboxed.
Right.
So like today, White Line Rangers they said like no longer available, like on the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Like they showed up on the website as no longer available, but so did the Great Swords. And the Great Swords, like that model, went no longer available in the UK today, and it's on the cover. So
Yeah.
I would anticipate that like it's going to stay, and if it just went no longer available, that suggests reboxing to me. That does not suggest, like removal from the line. So I would actually guess that the White Line Rangers are going to get reboxed, and basically my guess is we will see them amongst the Firestorm armies. But I mean, we'll see.
Sure.
Because they were not in the initial set of armies. Like if you
sure.
Firestorm, the Lion Rangers are not in any of the line.
Oh, in any of those actual lists.
Right.
Sure.
Although
so they could hit the chopping block.
Right, but like I could see Living City, right? Like
yeah, sure.
Which is like the wilderness one. Like that seems like a low hanging fruit for the Lion Rangers.
Yeah, I mean the reality is like I don't think we should invest too much in exactly what Firestorm was. You know what I mean? Firestorm was a beta for this, but like they're not beholden to that at all, right?
Not at all. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because some of those Firestorm Allegiance abilities were just straight up bad. So I really
Sure.
hope they don't just do a direct port over.
Agreed completely. And some were like stupidly good. Say Tempest Eye, for example. Also, let's just take Greywater Fastness and make it a 5-up. That way we handle this no shooting in the game problem. Like, boom, right away. We're good to go.
And on the War Scroll rewrites, I'm really hoping all of the
War machines.
artillery pieces have the combined profile like the Celestar Ballista does, and don't have a separate unit for the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm it's funny, I'm of two minds on this, okay? Like,
Yep.
on one hand, I actually really like that weakness to the artillery, okay? Like, I like that you can have that basically your crew can get picked off by certain sprinkle effects like Nurgle, right? Like Nurgle being an excellent example of a sort of army that's capable of just like destroying and leveling war machine crews through 10 different ways they have, right?
Yep.
But
Like it creates an interesting counterbalance to it, but at the same time it might be too strong, right? And that is to say, it might be kind of the case where it just actually makes them worthless. And without and even if they were just like 4 or 5 wounds, Nurgle's like little wound sprinkling is still a really good way to kill them, right? So
Yeah.
it's just not instant death to them when you do a D3 wounds and go somewhere between making the cannon very bad and dead. Because that automatically happens right now. The real reason I'd want to see him do it is just because it's confusing, I think, for new people to look at it and go, wait, what are these two things? How do they work together? You know what I mean? Like, people just, I've seen people get confused, especially if they don't come from, like, old Warhammer, where we just kind of had an innate understanding of how the crew worked with the war machine, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. All right, anything else to say on cities? We're pumped, right? I mean, this is, seriously, though, this is awesome. I'm excited about
Right.
this.
I mean, it's to me, it's the big win. Like of all the like reveals, like because it immediately cleans up order. Like overnight, it cleans up order to the point where like we just have a couple outstanding fixes, Seraphon, KO, but other than that, I mean, we're good. Like, yes, let me just be clear. I know like folks like the dispossessed people are really upset that like they say, does this mean that we'll never get a tome? I don't know, maybe.
I mean,
But
I'm going to say
reality-
yes, it means you'll never get a
Yeah.
tome, and that's fine.
But they still like if you want to run pure dispossessed, just do the GHB dispossessed allegiance.
Well, theoretically, this will port in basically all of that. Like, in the same way that if you want to do a whole Trog army, you can use the Gloomspite Gitz book to use to do a Trog army,
Right.
and it's
right.
functional.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's
you
what I'm
you
saying.
don't need
Yeah.
a separate dispossessed book. Like, this should pack enough interest in there to do that.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
And you may get bonus prayers. You know, like hey, Rune Priest, you may get bonus prayers out of this deal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the only concern that I kind of have with this is that
Sure.
they're throwing a very large number of War Scrolls together under one umbrella. And I think that leads to a very big possibility of accidentally creating some really busted combo
Sure.
in there somewhere.
Yep.
And some crazy order soup list being really overpowered.
I mean,
Look, I will. Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say, because I've seen the soup thing a bunch going around today. Who cares? Number one, like, such a misapplied term. Like, soup in the terms of what it is in 40K, where it came from, had a very negative connotation because it led to bad play experiences. Because the way it was combining things weren't narratively appropriate, right? It was just this sort of like you run the mins and you have all this and you're just like you're taking the power from across the entire Imperium in this nonsensical list, right? That's not what this is. Literally, this is built around the narrative,
right.
right? Like the very foundational element of this is the narrative.
Right. This isn't the leftovers. Like I've been reading the like forums, which is probably a mistake. And everybody has been like, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the fact that they're like, this is the leftover battle tome. This is no, stop it. 2 years ago, a product was released and it had all this lined out. This is a thing. These are like real cities in the realms
that came out of a campaign players ran in the world, in the real world.
Right. So like, I could not be more excited for this. No, it's not a Dispossessed getting a book and Phoenix Temple getting a book or whatever. But honestly, this is a little bit more interesting.
I completely agree. This is
And
way more interesting. This is the kind of stuff I want to see out of AOS, right? Where these like campaigns lead to narrative events, lead to like completely new takes on armies. This is a world we could have never lived in before. Right?
Yep.
And this is
they also kind of
wonderful.
telegraphed this in the core book fluff. They basically had a section, I think it was labeled like free peoples or free cities, and it was like, okay, here's what the humans are doing, here's what the dwarves are doing, here's what the wood elves are doing, here's what the dark elves are doing. You know, it was all like under one paragraph title in all of the stuff that's going to be in this book.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Agreed.
I think it has a lot of really cool possibilities, and from a hobby perspective, I think it has a lot of really cool possibilities to, like, you know, I have a free guild-based army. Okay, well, what if I want to take some dwarf unit? Well, now I have a conversion opportunity to make them all still look human, but have, like, the dwarf weapon so that it all blends together.
Totally agree.
Yep. By the way, a very funny thing was happening where my chat wasn't showing the right chat. I had watched like a different live stream earlier, and it was literally showing me the chat from that live stream.
That's odd.
I don't know how YouTube managed to accomplish that.
So here's the deal, folks. For those that are coming in late, I noticed we have 63 viewers rather than the 10 that we started with. What we are attempting to do now is that there's a new format that we're having to like do our stream through, and we're learning. So you're on a learning adventure with us. Welcome.
Yes, indeed. I'll see if I can figure out how to make Tom louder, by the way. I don't know why I'm so loud, but I'll do my best to make sure that I'm not blowing Tom out.
I tried to mess with my mic, but I don't
know. Is everybody still hearing Tom quieter? All right.
I don't know that anybody has ever said to turn Tom up. That's all I'm saying.
Indeed. Isn't that a... Here, I wonder if I can do this.
Here, let me check my mic as well. Like my input. Yeah, I can't adjust.
No, here, you don't mess with anything. You stop messing. Let me mess. Okay. So let me turn myself down. And now we'll see. And now you talk.
Okay. I mean, there's still going to be a delay. So, like, it's a thing. Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, I'm sure it's my setup. Yes.
Oh, somebody said it worked.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. As Tom said, this is a learning thing. I've never used this Streamlabs before, so I have to figure everything out here as it goes. I watched a bunch of videos. It's still... Oh, now everyone is quiet. Okay. Oh. Well, I'll work on it.
Good.
Well, at least now, I'll hold it stable. There you go. I'll hold it stable there, and then if you want to turn your sound up, you'll be okay. But I'll keep messing with it. We'll get there. We'll figure this out. I promise.
The Mime podcast now.
Yes, exactly. So, like, hopefully if you turn your sound up, you can hear us okay. I'll just increment to there. That should work. The desktop audio is already capturing it, sort of the maximum value, I think. Yeah, I can't go any higher on that from that program. But I'll play with it.
It's Max on my TV.
Yep.
Can't understand anyone. It's all your fault, Vince. You're ruining this show.
I'm sorry. That's okay. Hopefully that's a little better. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to bring everybody level on the sound and see how it works. I'll work on it as we go.
Sure.
Now that I can actually like see the right chat. How about that? That's neat.
Sure. Sure.
Stupid YouTube.
Love it. Love it.
uh,
All right. At any rate, we'll keep working through it. Okay. So next up, we had something we did not expect. I did not expect this at
Yeah.
all.
Like I saw this by the way, and I was like, "Aw, Vince is not gonna be happy."
I mean, I'm not. The Auric War Clans. So we've combined Iron Jaws and okay, so it's somebody said okay for me now. Vince and Tom are balanced. Good. I think I hopefully have hit a right point. We'll keep playing with it.
Are we really though? Are we really balanced?
We'll see.
do we need to get into a conversation about balance again? Let's not do that.
So Auric War Clans, Iron Jaws, Bone Splitters, and then the Great Green Wa. So there's 3 different armies basically in here. So this updates 2 old factions into a new thing. Why we got a sweet up. This almost makes me sad as you're pointing out, which I agree, because like we just got updated awesome faction rules. All right, GW, here's what better be in this book. You ready? You ready?
A copy paste.
Copy paste. I want nothing to change. Battalions, same. Scrolls, points, same. 0 changes within the Iron Jaws section of this book. Should just be like the 4 pages out of there. That's it. I need nothing else. I want nothing else. Change nothing. Okay? Do whatever you want with Bone Splitters. In fact, fix them. Like this is a great
negative Nancy.
This is a great opportunity. No, seriously. This is a great opportunity to fix the negative play experiences of Bone Splitters. Right? Like the ruck rolling.
Yeah.
Like there's just better ways that could be executed than roll 160 dice in your hero phase to amount to 10 wounds. Right?
Yep.
So there you go. And then like, yeah, I'm very interested in what the Great Green Wa says. All right, Paul, what's your take on this one? Give me the hot take on the War Clans.
I first of all just want to call back to the call that I made yesterday. People were like, "Oh, what do you expect? What are we going to get out of this open day?" And my answer was, "We're getting something that we didn't see coming." And we got 2 things that nobody saw coming. We're getting the Free Cities book now. I mean, we all kind of thought it was coming eventually. And we got the combined Greenskin book. So this is the book that nobody asked for, but we all wanted, I think.
No.
It's the book that we need.
Vince wanted nothing to do with Bone Splitters in his Iron Jaws.
Yeah, keep those, like, which it's fine, because they did the right thing, and they said they kept the allegiances distinct. You can run them individually, or have a great big combined thing. Perfect. Best of all worlds. I can still have my army I like, but people who wanted to put it all together get the army they like. Wonderful. I'm actually super okay with that. What I didn't want to happen was it to become one big just army.
Like
you know what I mean?
Forced. Yeah.
Yeah, like the combined allegiance is now called like Auric angry
the Great
green dudes. Yeah, the Great Green Wa. And it's just like, and that's it. And we got rid of any kind of concept of Iron Jaws as a thing and any kind of concept of Bone Splitters as a thing. And now they're all just one big mess. And I would have been like, I would have been very sad. But no, this is fine. I'm super okay with this. Just don't screw it up, GW. You gave us like the best 4 pages. It was the like the only A in Haywo's review. Right? This was your good work. Don't ruin it, please. Like, if that was so good, because that's just what they did, they just literally like copy pasted out of this book, you know, into the GHB, then I'm a happy camper and it's celebration time. And I'm excited that occasionally, like, I could, you know, I could occasionally have some Bone Splitter stuff, or bring in the regular boar things, which is what I would do. I would bring in like the regular boar riders because it would be fun to have more different pig riders. I like pig riders. I think they're cool, and the cheap pig riders in there are pretty good.
I hear that. For me, like I look at that and I'm like, wait, I can have like a block of shooters with Iron Jaws now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I get ranged attacks. Yeah, I could do that.
Some of those models are going to look very strange next to the Iron Jaws models, though, I think.
Well, because they're all little tiny baby orcs comparatively, right? Like
Yeah,
they're such wee little fellas.
yeah. Put like some of the Savage Orcs next to Brutes, and they don't even look like the same species.
Right. Well, that's because Iron Jaws are the best and the biggest, obviously. And, Bone Splitters are just a bunch of basically like redneck orcs living in the woods, painting themselves up and running around with stone
Neck
spears.
orcs. Could you be more? Well, it's not speciest. Clanist.
Factionist, yeah. Yeah.
Factionist.
No, because I support, like, I hated all orcs for basically my entire life, right? And it was an army that just never held any interest for me whatsoever. I never liked a single thing in greenskins. Not goblins, not orcs, not nothing. Never liked them. Okay. And then they came out with Iron Jaws, and I kind of looked at them. I was like, yeah, those are cool. I like them enough. They're fine. And then you and I started talking, and I got the army, and I painted the army, and I played the army, and I fell in love. It wasn't a thunderbolt, right? It was a long-term relationship. We got to know each other, right?
And,
It was
and it just became more and more beautiful.
exactly like as the romance evolved, right? And I fell in deep into the Iron Jaws waters. I mean, I just ran this army like last weekend and had so much fun still. Like those new things, I was like, oh my god, this is even better. I didn't think it could get better. It got even better. So just please don't ruin like the best experience I've had in Warhammer, and I'm happy. Doesn't seem like that much to ask.
Warcry has been like pulling me into Iron Jaws.
Yeah, man.
Like it's just calling to me. It's like all you have to do is buy a box of Brutes and a box of Art Boys, and you'll have all the Warcry stuff you ever need.
Oh, you have way more than an army. Yeah.
You say that. I just sent my order out for my one box of Savage Orcs, which is an entire
Which is everything.
It's 20 models.
Yep.
Like it's everything.
And you can build out the big stabbers from it, like everything.
Yeah, everything. One box.
It is the best Warcry deal because you get more than a full warband, like by far, and every option you want out of one box. It is.
I saw that today, and I was like, I'm just gonna add that to my order because why not? I'll buy an entire warband.
Add to cart. But yeah, like I don't know. Did you see the Brutes stat card?
I did not.
They are brutal. Let me tell you what, they are. There's a lot of fives that show up on that stat. That's what's important. Basically, like as a comparative number, 5 is pretty good from all the stats I've seen so far. To put it in perspective, like the Untamed Beasts are basically 3s, and the Iron Golems are basically 4s, and it's relevant because like when you're higher,
you're above, it swings it.
Yeah, it's quite swingy in what you need to actually like cause damage. Also, the damage profile on like the Brute with the big Haka thing is like 3 and 6 damage on a crit. So that's pretty good. We'll get to a full review of that. I actually, I watched like this is unrelated to what we're doing right now, but I would highly recommend watching like the Becca Scott How to Play Warcry video if you haven't already. It's super concise for like 9 minutes. And after I watched it, I was like, yep, 100% in for this. This is exactly what I was hoping to see. Like, great. Perfect. You nailed it. You nailed it, Sam.
Related. I mean, maybe we'll see, but like, I don't know how I feel about 3 turns. Like all of it happening in 3 turns.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, like maybe the battlefield will be decimated in 3 turns.
I think so. It's a pretty like damaging game.
Right.
You know what happens when you use crits and falling rules.
Sure. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. And yes, as to me, I do agree. 10 Brutes teleporting turn 1 with +4 to charge and +4 attacks from while bypassing always strikes last from Smash and Basher. No joke. I agree with all of that. It's awesome. I did teleport Brutes and then Iron Fist and then have bonuses to charge and end up in somebody's patoot in my last game I played, and it was super fun. Anyways, okay. So yeah, this is super unexpected. I really wish, like, it's so funny too because so this article got posted at 5 a.m. our time, right?
Right.
Okay, because it was the actual seminar was at 9 a.m. British Standard Time, ended at 10. They put up the article like a few minutes after 10 or 5 a.m. So
Yep.
at like 5:04 a.m. this morning, I woke up to my dog going, and I'm like, oh no! So I had to like
Oh no.
grab something for the dog to puke in and retch in, which was super fun because the dog has had an upset tummy. And then I like looked over at the clock and I was like, oh, it's 5:08 a.m. I guess I could just check my phone and like immediately rolled out and was reading the community article. So my dog, apparently the internal alarm for my dog was set to wake me up in the only way it knew how, by vomiting on me, basically. So thanks, dog. Helpful. Uh
Cool.
so yeah, there you go. So I saw that right away and I was pretty shocked, but hey, great. Good. Yeah, the Great Green Wall building up Green Wall energy. I'll be interested to see what that amounts to. Right.
Summoning. Somebody that talked to Sam on at the event today said that it results in summoning more orcs, bringing more people to the party.
So you grow more orcs with big
No.
Wah energy?
No, they feel the wah, and they come rolling in.
Ah, I see.
The question is that all it does? One could say Blood Tithe does summoning, and that
Yeah,
wouldn't be a lie.
no. Like I'm sure it does other things, but one thing we do, like they did say, is that, like I don't know if it was Sam or whoever it was at the event today, said that they have summoning, unlike the other orcs. The Great Wall does.
Even more reason for me to just stick with Iron Jaws. Then I don't have to worry about that crap. Great. I don't mind summoning. Summoning's a fine mechanic. I just whatever. All right. So now it's time to talk about this dude, the big new ogre tyrant. Oh yeah, he's large. He's in charge. He led to maybe the greatest Doom and Darkness Facebook, Twitter video in the history of mankind.
I didn't even know how to respond to that video. I was
Well, he
like,
said it to the touch, so I mean, right away, you're a winner, Doom. I want you to know, you are a winner, buddy.
Now I need to go watch this.
It's pretty great. It's him dancing for like 30 seconds in short shorts with a club. I can't explain any more than that.
I mean, that's pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
It's pretty great.
I thought we were gonna get a glimpse of his dangler faction. Like it's just
Oh no.
I am riveted.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this guy and what we think this heralds. So let me set the background here first.
I know exactly what it does.
That's fine, but let me set some groundwork here, okay?
Yep.
So we've got the new Ogre Tyrant, new plastic Ogre Tyrant, a much needed update of a model. Super cool. Yep. He looks, I mean, honestly, he looks amazing. Like legit, that's an awesome
Makes
looking
me
ogre.
wish the entire faction actually looked like him.
He looks so much broader up top than the rest of the faction, right?
He looks like he's been like working out in the corn gyms.
Yeah.
While the rest of the people have been down in
they're at like Planet Fitness,
like the Nurgle mess hall,
right?
Like they've been in the Nurgle mess hall, and he's been up at the core gym.
Yeah, sure. And so we're getting a new plastic tyrant, which is awesome. And he is an ogre tyrant, meant to be a gutbuster and so on. He's obviously updated because he has things like the Stormcast helmet above him. There is a little video that accompanies him talking about the Feast of Bones that is starting, right? And specifically, they have a little thing about the Maw something. I don't remember. It has a name. I'll grab it here, but it's gonna go.
It's a thing.
I'll let it play over here, and I'll move it down so it's just kind of playing in the background while we're talking. At any rate, is this a book? Are we getting? Thank you, Maw Tribes. Thank you, Jeff.
No,
Again. Much appreciated.
No, it's a Maw Tribes. Hold on, Maw Tribes is the book.
Yep.
Okay. And Feast of Bones is the box set. And so because if you look, we have one unique hero model.
Yep.
And then like some shooters, some brutes, and some and the chariot, right?
Yep.
That's one half of a box.
Okay.
Of a like
Of a Loon Curse style
a
box.
Loon Curse box. And so if you'll notice, here's the deal. So far, up until this point, we had like Carrion Empire, right? We've had Loon Curse,
which brought out the Skaven and FEC book. Then we had Loon Curse, which was originally supposed to be right aligned with the Sylvaneth book, but then the world happened.
But I would argue that like those names often are like combined of the two concepts.
Okay.
Right? Like Loon Curse. Sure. Oh man, that one doesn't work. Let's say Carrion Empire. Anyways, Feast of Bones. What I'm saying is that I think the feast part is the ogres, and I think the bones part. I think it's either going to be undead. Although we did have a Wanderers or Forest Elves rumor box set with ogres like earlier a couple weeks ago.
I think it's totally ogres versus undead. I absolutely think so, and I'll tell you why when we get to the end. But it has to do with the Tithe of Bones. I don't think it's accidental that they're tying those two things together.
The Tithe of Bones and the Feast of Bones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, this is the Wrath and Rapture. Thank you, Dan Reeves, being the other like obvious example of both sides being represented in the name, right?
Yep.
Yes. Like there's no way that they named two different things they revealed today the blank of bones, and they're not related at all. Like that's just total happenstance. Like they ran out of ideas over in the naming shop. There's just nothing. Threw the dart twice, it landed on bones. What do you do?
I mean, knowing GW, it would make sense if it was both skulls, but bones not so much.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, so what we're assuming here is that at some point we get a and by the way, I think this is the new undead, basically, this new undead faction, right? Is what's going to be the other half of this.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. For those that are wondering, is this like what is this? I think it's the Tomb Kings reimagined that we rumored, right? We talked about that. That's coming in October.
Yep.
But the exception here is that this is not Cetra, and I don't think this is Cetra. So don't make the mistake. Like I don't think this dude is Cetra. I think this dude is
somebody else.
Somebody else.
Would you like to? I mean, you're jumping ahead a little, but I think we can actually watch the video now and make it play over stream. I think that'll actually work on this.
Well, let's not watch it because we can't see it.
It's fine. They would see it. Our viewers would see it.
Sure. But we can't comment on something we can't see.
Sure. I don't know what to tell you.
Sure.
But yeah, so I mean, Paul, excited for a new ogre book, new ogre tyrant, potential box set.
I really like ogres in general. It immediately made me go to, I could build an ogre army.
Yeah. Sure.
And also, on a random personal note, it makes me excited because my friend that got me into Warhammer to begin with has an ogre army sitting on his shelf. But when the changeover to AOS happened, he was not a fan and went to play Kings of War. And he had a fully painted ogre army that he stuck on the shelf and never played in Kings of War. So now I as soon as I saw that video, I sent it over to him immediately. I was like, "Hey, buddy,
come on back. Water's warm. You got them brand new guts." And like, let's be honest, this is a chance for them to update the War Scrolls appropriately, right? Because like the Iron Blaster could be a super cool artillery / melee house train thing. It just takes a War Scroll rewrite. Like the concept is solid, the model is solid. It would be useful in the army. It's just right now there isn't a good points cost for that thing, right?
If you look at that thing in general, that thing should be able to like spike a bloodthirster on like a crit.
Right.
Like the thing is gigantic, and it's just like a pea shooter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny too, given that it suffered from the so like famously edition change to edition change in Warhammer, there was always the handicap for being good in the last edition.
Sure.
Okay. So like at every edition change from like fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, if you were like super good in the last edition, you started out sucking in the next. That was always what happened. They always like way overcorrected. And like famously the Iron Blaster was just an unbelievable just butt kicker as far as cannons go, right? It was so powerful and so destructive. And so then they put out the new scroll and it was just like womp 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 womp. Just nope. It got the whammy. But it can be back now. So yeah.
And so is that show.
Yeah. I am excited for this one for sure. All right. Next up, we have the formal announcement of Beast Grave, which is the next Warhammer Underworlds thing. And in there, as you can see here, it looks like we have a little elf person. You two can't see it, but in the image we have a little elf person and a little gore person. I'll make this image bigger so everybody can see it. Let's actually get full size on this one for a moment. And we have a little video, which I'll sort of play here.
At last!
I'll mute it so that way we're not... I think it will play through, but I'll mute it and just let it kind of be there while we talk about it. So, obviously we don't get much, but you know, the story is kind of like people sort of escaped Night Vault into a mountain in Gur. And that's where this is now happening. So, in Gur. It looks like a new Centaur model of some kind. But I'm going to say it doesn't look like a bad guy Centaur.
I'm going to say a Wanderer Centaur.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
We have deer wood elves. And in fact, you want me to go one step farther?
Sure.
I think that when we get new Wanderers, when the Wanderer situation resolves, right? I think we're going to get a full Wanderer book. I think we're going to get the retiring of some of the prior models because they do have some old stuff in there.
Yep, sure.
And I think that we're going to get some of these. I think they are going to get the Daughters of Cain treatment.
It would make sense. Like they're certainly ripe for it, right? Because they have a pretty robust line. They have a pretty defined role and narrative in the world. It's obviously not really part of the cities of Sigmar, right? Like they aren't, by their very nature, they aren't really fully part of that world and that narrative. Yes, there are cities that they show up on the list for, which at least they did in Firestorm. Who knows if they will in the new one, right?
Right.
But it's like, I agree with you. Those are going to be some new Wanderer sculpts and some new... We're going to get the Beasts of Chaos for Night Vault and the Wanderers for Night Vault, right?
Right.
And this is a good chance for them to either... Which maybe could lead into the actual book for Wanderers getting a new thing. Maybe they breach some of that out into like one or two new units, and we go like maybe even a little less than Daughters of Cain style, but something like that, right?
Sure.
Because they're a bigger range. Like Wanderers has a bigger plastic range now than Daughters of Cain did when it started.
Right. Like all I'm saying, like they would lose a bunch of their heroes because all their heroes are metal, or not all of them, but like a lot of them are metal or fine cast. So I could see them replacing some of their heroes and then getting like one of the like Centauri kits, like as like a merging of the Wild Riders, like in the deer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which by the way, I am super on about good guy centaurs. That sounds awesome. Like I'm down with that. More weird centaur things in the game. Age of Sigmar, we slam two weird creatures together. That should be its subtitle. Like that's just bring it on.
Minimum of two creatures.
Right. Minimum. Two creatures in a soup minimum.
Minimum in this bar.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So that's Warcry, or it's not Warcry, sorry, Night Vault. We'll see what happens from there.
I'm just excited for new warbands. I really like the warbands that they've done in general, like aesthetically. I don't actually personally own any of them, just for not having, like, I don't play the game, and I only have one faction that has a warband, and I just haven't picked it up yet. But I like what you can do with them, bringing them into AOS, like making them really cool, like either running them as the unit itself, which are some of them are good, and then just using them as alternate models for a unit champion or a hero or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Like I mean, I have I think 3 different night or like Underworld's warbands. You know why I have them?
Because of armies.
For painting competitions, and they're in the armies I liked, so I already liked painting them, so I bought them and used them as unit entries for painting competitions. Side benefit, they're there for an army I already have. I already know I like to paint them, right? So it's a good alignment because I only like to compete with stuff I actually enjoy painting, right?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, if actually no, I was mixing myself up, but I was thinking mixing up Gur and Gyron for a second there.
I hate that they're so close. I do it all the time too. They're even similar feeling planes, right? Or realms, because like beasts and life. Okay, it's very similar feeling. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It feels like Nurgle could show up there though.
Sure.
We finally get a Nurgle warband,
which would be absolutely well aligned and would be super sweet.
I could see an ogre warband too, right?
Yeah.
Like 3 dudes.
No, like an ogre and a bunch of nobblers.
Oh, yeah, good call. Sure. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. Good call. Good call, Tom. I like where your head's at, buddy. All right, I'm going to bring up this video, and I'm going to hit play on this. I don't know if the sound will work. I have no idea if this is going to work, or if we're just going to sit here in silence. So I'm going to hit play, and, like, people in the comments, tell me if this works.
Tell us what happens.
Tell us what happens. Because I don't know. I can hear it, but I don't know that you can hear it.
I have been killed and reborn, destroyed and remade.
It works. Although your head is covering
survived the fall of the Storm God's hammer and tore my way free from the Soul Thief's prison. I have rebuilt myself here in my homeland, while my master raised the army I must lead. Soon, we march forth. Soon, we collect the tithe of bones.
All right. I have no idea what is going on with that.
Wait, hold on. We're almost done.
Oh, okay. You want me to play? Okay. Needed them last 2 pan flute notes, huh? Not willing to let those go. All right.
Nope.
Okay. So what is going on here? Wild speculation time. Obviously, we have a part 1 there, so we know we got more videos coming. It's clearly something death-related, nothing shocking here. The Master seems to be referencing Nagash, which puts Cetra out of the picture because he has no Master and Cetra does not serve. Okay, cool. So, is it just a completely new death army? Is it... what is it? Tom, go. Wild speculation time. Do it.
I think that this is our, quote, reimagined TK. And what I mean by that is it's going to be a death, like a non-Western themed undead army that will have echoes of different Mediterranean / Egyptian / maybe a little bit of Indian, basically they're not gonna look standard, hence all these guesses at accents. It'll be an elite shooting army. And I'm gonna go with if I want to do safe, I'm gonna go with somebody completely new that we've never met. if I want to go, if I want to stretch it a little bit, I think we can go with Krell.
Do you think Krell talks like that?
I don't, but he's been reborn. Like that's the key. Is that remember we've been through like multiple iterations of everything.
Yeah,
Like
but you
maybe
don't
there's
think
a
they're
season-
trying to communicate something by that voice? Like, I agree with you. That affectation was like vaguely Egyptian, Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, like that kind of feel to it,
Yes.
right? But it wasn't spot on. They weren't trying to like have they weren't trying to do like a parody of an accent, right? They were being, I think, purposely a little bit broad with it, right?
Some people pointed out that the voice actor sounds a lot like Cetra from the Total War games.
Interesting. Which, I mean, could just lead to it being somebody in that position, but sure.
Sure.
Hooves of Doom says he had to have been killed by Sigmar. I don't think that's the case. He says, like, he survived the Storm God's hammer or whatever, right? That doesn't mean that's what killed him. Or that or that it was even a confrontation where the hammer hit him.
Krell at one point in time went toe-to-toe with Golmaroth. Like, that's in the lore.
All right, Paul, wild speculation time. Go.
I'm just going off of memory from watching this a couple of hours ago because it didn't play back for me when you were playing that. But didn't they specifically use the word reforged when he was talking about coming back from the dead multiple times?
No, he says reborn, not reforged.
That throws out an idea that I had. I don't know, like in terms of wild speculation as to like what the army is actually going to be, but I think we're going to have our first death faction that is strictly in opposition to Nagash, and like that Nagash cannot ally with, that will not ally any of Nagash's stuff. That is just its own death army that is like really like maybe it's like a former Mortarch that got pissed off, or somebody that was just below the Mortarchs that got pissed off and left.
I agree with you on this, okay? So, Tom, you don't take this opinion, right? You think this will still be under Nagash.
No, like, I think it will, because he talked about the master who's crafting his army for him.
Right. So here's my... I understand that, and I don't disagree with that line. But here's my read on it, okay? I think he shows up, like, this army was crafted for him. He's right, but he kind of gives this, like, but it was for me, right? He's going to show up, take it, and chafe under this, like, the rule of Nagash and go off on his own. I think that's the story that'll get told. Like, this is part one, right? And he's setting up that he's to inherit this army. I think what's going to happen over the arc of this narrative is him splitting away from Nagash. I actually agree with Paul. Like, he was raised to be a servant and then breaks away, which, by the way, would be whoever it is. That would be a sort of, there would be some interesting parallels there to Nagash himself and to other previous sort of death characters, right? Because that's always sort of the arc of death, is like the student or the thing that's raised to be a servant ends up breaking away and becoming its own master, right? And chafing under the rule of its leader, because the leadership in death is so total, right?
And it's just a kind of a common story arc to begin with, like the student rebelling against the master.
Sure. Yeah. And again, I think in this one, it's playing that he's still loyal. I'm sort of planting a flag with you that I think in the long run, what we'll see is the story go from loyalty to rebellion, right?
Maybe. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
It'd be a good arc to lead up to why this thing is suddenly here. All right, let's do named character speculation time. Ready? We're going to do this in odds. Everybody know what I mean? 1 to 1, 10 to 1, 100 to 1, 50,000 to 1, 100,000 to 1. Okay? You ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Cetra, odds, go. Whoever, Paul, start us off.
I would give that easily like 1,000 to 1.
Okay, right on. Tom?
1,000,000 to 1.
Okay, wow.
This is not
way
Cetra.
out there.
This is not Cetra.
I agree. Also not. I'm totally with that. Not Cetra. Like 1,000 to 1,000,000 to 1. Pick the highest number you're comfortable with. Not gonna happen. He would never state himself as like my master did this. His mind would have had to have been shattered in the realm of chaos for that to have happened. Okay, cool. Vlad, Paul, Vlad von Karstein.
I would actually give that a relatively reasonable chance. Maybe in like the, I don't know, like maybe like 25-1 sort of range.
Okay, right on. Just because it feels like that's a character they could want to dig up. He's very popular. Dig up. See what I did there? Because it's death. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's popular. He does famously come back a lot from being dead, right?
That's what undead people do.
Sure. Tom, what's your take on
Yeah,
Vlad?
I do 20-1.
Okay. All right. You want my take? I'm putting
Yeah.
Vlad at almost the same as Cetra.
Okay.
It's not Vlad. Now look, all you know. I'm more than willing to eat my hat on this if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But, let me tell you my reasoning why I don't think it's Vlad. One, that doesn't sound like Vlad's voice. That didn't sound super Transylvanian. Okay, which like
Sure.
Vlad in some of the audio stuff where you've ever heard him talk, he doesn't speak with that sort of affectation, right?
He's very stereotypical Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't walk around like blah. You know, he's not Bela Lugosi or something.
He's pretty close though.
But yeah, I mean, so there's that. Two, he had his story ended. Like, I understand anybody can come back. I understand no one's ever really gone. I too watched the Star Wars trailer. But like but he had a really good ending. Like the best ending. Whatever you think of the end times, his arc was incredible. Like it was the story, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to bring him, you've also got to unpack Isabella because he's not going to be just roaming around alone. He was always more of an independent operator anyways. Like, yeah, sure, he served other people, but like he always was kind of rogue. Like from the beginning of the end times, he was kind of going rogue, right? When he's like working with Balthazar Gelt and whatever, right?
Right.
And he had the perfect end to a story. Can we just let something die? Can we just let a story end? For once in this world, can we just let a good story be dead? Like, can that happen? Please? Just asking.
Okay.
All right.
Are you done?
Yeah, sure. Conrad, his brother or whatever, uncle, nephew. I don't remember how he was related.
Can I step in here?
Sure.
I don't think it's a single vampire.
Cool. Right on. There you go. Paul, same thing. Like, you put any odds on Conrad? I think he's too obscure. Again, 100-1.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is, so I'm going to go 11-1.
Okay, fair enough. Good enough. So, Tom, do you have any special character guesses?
I actually think the highest odds are a new character completely.
Sure. If it was going to be an existing character, who's your highest odds on any existing character?
Krell.
Krell. Okay.
Yeah.
That dude does die and come back like a lot.
We have him in the lore fighting Galmaraz. We have he doesn't meet the ethnic aesthetic. He was a chaos warrior, which might make this interesting. Like if he was, because remember he had and he was a Mortarch as well.
Right.
So he was relatively high ranking. In the midst of all of this and he needs a new model.
Yep.
So it would, because if this is indeed if this is the box, well, I don't know. It depends on is this a new army or is this a reimagined of a reimagining of Death Rattle?
Yeah, sure.
Like a Death Rattle Plus. If this is a Death Rattle Plus, the White King needs a new model.
And also, the Tithe of Bones, he was classically kind of that kind of dude, right? He was a bony dude.
I think he was the Mortarch of Bone, specifically.
Well, that aligns pretty well, then.
I'll verify that in just a second, but continue. Yeah.
All right.
You know, what I would be curious to do is some like what we have right now is very typical
Um,
like
he was
European. Go ahead, Tom.
despair. He was the Mortarch of despair.
oh, neat. Okay.
So what I was saying was what we have right now is very typical like Western ideas of undead stuff. Yeah, we have
Right.
ghosts, we have skeletons, we have vampires.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna
what
interrupt you
I'm
again. You ready?
Go ahead, Tom.
this better be good.
It's gonna be so good. Okay.
Lean to your left, Tom.
I have a completely new theory that breaks out of all of our boxes.
I'm ready. Blow our minds, Tom. This better be the Caribbean ogres of quality. Go for it.
If this is Death Stormcast, I'm gonna flip this table.
No. So so we are gonna talk vampires again.
Okay.
Okay. So my pitch is this is Luther Harkon.
With the
Who
warrior
is-
priest?
No, Luther Harkon
That's Luther
the
Huss, yeah, sir.
is the primary like pirate in the old world. He was a vampire pirate.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. So if you'll remember, we have Firestorm being printed, right?
Yeah.
And Firestorm, all of the good guys were
Under
the
Firestorm
cities.
allegiances. Yes, the cities.
Yes, and they are under the cities. Do you remember what the Death Allegiance was in here?
It was the pirate one. It was the
Wraith,
death pirate.
The Wraith Fleet. Yeah, the Wraith Fleet. What if Luther has been freed, right?
Okay.
And the Wraith Fleet had been prepared for him.
I mean, that is a long
So
shot,
but it's all in the lore already. Like
Sure.
they have all of the stuff there.
Yeah. I mean, look, one, that's a long shot. But two, I really want you to be correct because undead pirates would be so super cool. And like the Wraith Fleet was such a good idea. I loved it. And you know, I know Autumn, we already have multiple pirates, and I'm okay with that because pirates are pretty sweet. And
Because
this could be a total new take on it.
and like they don't need seas because they could all be like floating pirates on like Mortis engine ghost clouds.
Yeah, I'm
So they're
super
floating
down.
floating pirate ships, and then you give them cannons. Like that's where you get your shooting from. So it's like undead KO, with vampire pirate captains.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you're probably in the same range as Cetra, but I love it. Go ahead, Paul.
I mean, like it would be awesome if like we actually got models for undead pirate ships.
How
but
amazing would that be?
I think other vehicles is like a space they need to explore in some way, but I think the odds are not good. I don't think that's what we're getting.
Oh, you're right there.
I mean, this is just purely wish listing at this point.
Sure.
My point that I was trying to get to,
Sorry,
after Tom interrupted me at least twice, I think where there may be some sort of ground for them to work with is some other kind of undead that isn't already in the game.
Okay.
Like we have ghosts, we have skeletons, we have vampires, we have werewolfy type things. Like there's plenty of other folklore and legend throughout the world to base undead stuff on. And I would be really curious to see like their take on, you know, I think that would be a good way to go, is to take something from another like actual culture and kind of port those concepts into AOS so that you had a death army that was flavorfully distinct and different.
Yeah. Look, if we get a Penangolin or Pangolin, however you say it, the weird like vampire head that floats around with its organs hanging out of it from like sort
Yeah.
of the Pacific Asia myth. I'm all about that. That would be a great monster. I'm pretty sure there's one of those in that is a fig actually already in Malifaux. So but there you go. I'd love to see another take on that. Just a weird floating vampire head with organs hanging out the bottom of its neck. That'd be cool. Super creepy. But yeah, I agree. Like, although also, by the way, there is a big one that used to be around that isn't here now that would kind of fit with the sort of feel of the location of that.
Mummies.
Mummies. Yeah. Like, given that kind of feel of the music and the look of the place and the affect of the speaker had, like, mummies rolling out would be kind of cool. I wouldn't hate mummies.
And constructs, like undead constructs as well.
Yeah.
So
I
you
miss
mean
the
two
mummies.
Like, and you could even do like terracotta warriors. Like you could lean into the, like if it is more of an Eastern feel, you could do something like that, like enchanted, like terracotta warrior archers or something, like to go the Ushabti route, like like embedded constructs.
And I agree with Hooves of Doom that if mummies come back, it's time to break out the Hero Quest figs and go to town.
I already have like 20 of them sitting.
We're all ready. We're all ready for a bunch of figs all doing this. Just standing there like this, just, with their arms out straight. I know both of you can't see me, but
No,
oh yeah.
no, that's not the Hero Quest ones. Had their arms in like this weird, like shimmying.
Yeah, they're kind of like back. They're like
Yeah.
this. They're little triangle
I
arms.
can't see your arms.
I know you can't, but I don't care.
Were they walking like an Egyptian?
Yes, exactly correct. That is correct. They were big Bengals fans, yeah. Absolutely. Will the real question if we get mummies is will we get Mummy Momuggy, the good mummy? That's really the question I think that we need to answer. That's the burning question today's AOS Open Day left us with. All right, so there we go. And yes, like it's obvious to me again, the tithe of bones has to play in some way with the Feast of Bones. By the way, it wouldn't even have to be the case that they both end up in the same box set. Maybe that's not the way the world works out. But that could be the sort of arc of this new narrative push as it makes its way across the realms, right?
Bones.
Yeah, Bones. All right, so
Yeah.
there you go.
And isn't in Gur, isn't there like a sea of bones, like a desert that's filled with monster bones?
Oh, I don't know. That's kind of cool.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Okay. So kind of tying in Night Vault as well, or not Night Vault, sorry, Underworlds as well, right? Everything kind of leaps together there somehow thematically. Yeah. It's an interesting call there, Paul. I like where your head's at. All right, gentlemen. So closing thoughts here, Paul. Overall feelings on the open day. Happy? What do you think?
I'm overall really happy with it. I think what I think is really funny is everybody's like, "We're getting the Slaves to Darkness book," and
Which I was one of. Admittedly, I was right there. I was sure it was going to happen. Okay.
Vince is like, this is happening, and they're like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but now we know the Slaves to Darkness book has to be coming because the Free Cities or the Cities of Sigmar, I'm going to call it Free Cities forever, I'm sure. The Cities of Sigmar plus the Orc book eliminate all of the General's Handbook allegiances except Slaves to Darkness.
Right. in a single blow. Pa-pow. They just like wiped all that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that also just creates interesting space for like, what are they going to do with all those pages in the next General's Handbook?
Wow, what a weird world we'll live in when all the army books are basically actually updated.
Weird. Wait, did somebody say something about all the General's Handbook allegiances spelling the roadmap for
Tom, get out of here. That has not been true for 3 years.
But I called it this time.
Oh, okay. That still only gives you like a 33% accuracy at best. That's like you walking outside every morning and going, it's gonna rain today, and then it doesn't rain. And then like on the third day it happened to rain, and you're like, I am the world's perfect meteorologist. No, no. That's not how it works. It's not how
The
prediction works.
Mayans were really good at making it rain too.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Just sacrifice enough people, it eventually rains, Tom. So, I'm just saying.
Mm.
No. Like, yes, it is. You want to know who summoned that book, Tom? Like, yes, I know we made the call, but I feel that who actually summoned it was Halo Twitch in his video, where he was like, "Does this mean a battle tome's on the way?" And he said it like 12 times, and in fact, for 9 of the allegiances he said it for, he got battle tomes the next day, or 9 or 10, whatever. Yes.
Yes.
Like, I am confident that in fact here's what I think happened. Okay? Here's what I think actually just happened. I'm like I'm able to like see through. This is me piercing the veil of reality. Are you ready? Okay. The actual reveals that were going to happen today were Slaves to Darkness to go along with Warcry. Okay. And like probably the Ogre book. Like the Ogre was still in line, maybe. Maybe not. But then Halo memed so hard, okay? He literally rewrote reality. Like reality had to reconform around that. And when they all walked in this morning to the AOS Open Day, like when those people walked in, they looked at the script and it said Cities of Sigmar, and they were like, huh. And then slowly, like, their memories all rewrote, where there was never a world where they wrote the Slaves to Darkness book and had prepared copy for it. It just, just spread out like a virus. And this is the only world we live in now. That's what happened.
You know what they call that? That's meme magic.
Exactly. Me magic. That's what happened. So that's where I'm putting my money. This is like the sort of Berenstain Bear effect or the Mandela effect, but in sort of future, into the future. It rewrites the future.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a lot more room in the General's Handbook now for other formats that people aren't interested in.
I also find it. Does anyone else find it funny that like the meeting engagements thing happened, and knowing that like 3 weeks later we would have Warcry, so theoretically I understand Warcry is much smaller because it's actually like a skirmish replacement, it's a kill team equivalent, but like to me now the choice is, well, am I gonna just play a normal AOS 2K game, or am I gonna play Warcry? Right? Why would I sort of pick something in the middle? I think it's still a viable thing for like tournaments to do one dayers and stuff like that. I think that's cool. But for the most part, for my personal stuff, I'm going to be splitting my time between just playing normal games and playing Warcry.
Sure. Yeah, I've got to say, I feel bad for whoever was like the rules team for meeting engagements, because they clearly put a lot of time and effort into that. Like that was like a big focus for this General's Handbook. And like the community collectively has just punched them in the dick over and over and over again in commentary.
It hasn't been pleasant. Yeah, it's.
I said we played it.
Yeah, I mean, look, and that's the thing. It actually has a lot of interesting potential. It's not bad. Like there are, as I said before, like Foundation, I think it's fine. There are clear deficiencies in the rules, no doubt, no mistake. But like, it's a good format for a particular purpose. I just don't know that now was like necessarily the time we needed it, or in this form. It honestly felt like they could have put it out in like a White Dwarf first in its current form, kind of fished it around, and then it showed up in GHB 2020 or something like that, right?
Yep.
But whatever, it's fine.
It's like the skirmish release.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Where it's like there's a lot of good idea there. It just maybe didn't gestate quite long enough, but whatever, it's fine. If nothing else, hey, we'll get an expanded meeting engagements with that open space in 2020, and it will be good then. So, hey, I have no doubt. Like, I have no doubt all that stuff will be resolved by then. So, probably be a pretty sweet format.
Yeah. What I think is interesting, too, is if you remember not that long ago, I think at Adepticon, they said something to the effect of, like, we want to clean up all the factions by the end of 2020.
Yeah. Yes.
And, like, they're cleaning up everything by the end of 2019.
They got aggressive.
So, I mean, like, they still have a good number of books that need to fix. I will say that
KO, Seraphon, so on and so forth. There's still plenty.
yeah, like
But you have to
Zing,
admit, this took a big bite
it did.
out.
No, I don't want to I don't want to minimize the significance of these releases. I fully affirm that. But they still have some to do, so it's not like we're done this year. I will say there is one piece of disappointment that I do have that like I'm carrying into this conversation.
Okay.
I don't want to always be the negative Nancy, and maybe I'll still be surprised. Like I'm still open to being surprised when the orc book drops. But how do you drop an orc book and not give them like a literal endless spell foot of Gork?
Yeah, well, we don't know they don't have endless spells.
Right, and that's what I say. I could be surprised, and
Right.
there could still be an endless spell box. But come on. If there is any army that is built to have like that visual effect, it's the Gork and Mork spells. These are body parts showing up.
Sure. Paul, thoughts?
I think the problem is that the whole shtick with like the foot of Gork is like Gork is like stomping on you, and like how do you mechanically make that work with a model?
Yeah, you just move it. Like, and whatever it moves over, it stomps on. Stomp, 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 stomp.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the feel is like it's not like Gork's foot is like hanging out in the realms and occasionally he's picking it up and stepping on somebody. It's like coming out of the sky, out of nowhere, and crushing people. In like in one of those like Monty Python cartoon sketches.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Like I just see a foot falling out of the sky like that. That's very Python-esque.
Well, it could be really. Here's how you could do it and have it satisfy all this and the tradition of Foot of Gork. You ready? Okay.
Yep.
Here's the endless spell. Foot of Gork, whatever, casts on like let's say 7 or 8 or something. Set up Foot of Gork within 18 wholly within 18 inches. Foot of Gork flies and may move up to let's say 12 inches on your turn. Okay. However, the first time Foot of Gork comes into contact with a unit, it deals a d6 mortal wounds or whatever. And you roll a die.
Yep.
Okay? On a 4+, it may continue moving and or choose to like stomp the same unit again. Okay? Or something like that. Like there's some kind of limitation. Like you can't just sit there forever. You know what I mean? Like however it works. So I'd have to think about making sure the rules out of that work. So you might not get your full 12 inches out, but you can basically then keep driving along, and every time you touch a new unit, repeat this test, right? Sure. Some rules like that. And when it can no longer, at the end of its movement, roll a die on X, it goes away. On Y, it stays, right? And so it's sort of like it doesn't hang out there like what you're saying, like a foot. It's just something that kind of hits, stomps around, and then has a very high chance of leaving, but might stick around and kind of go predatory to represent the fact that it's not actually his foot. It's a magical manifestation of it, right? So it kind of satisfies all of that. There you go. Done. Here's my one thing I was super happy not to see, and I hope that it's not just not ready yet. No terrain in either of those shelves. And I was like, good. Don't need terrain for my Iron Jaws. Don't want it. Pass. Fine. We're good. All good here. Keep your terrain.
I half expected to see like battlements for the cities.
For the cities, sure. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we didn't get them.
I'm really glad that we don't have that. Although I still have, I'm sure you do too, Vince, the old Bretonnian archer stakes.
Oh, tons of them, dude. So many. Yes.
It would be fun if we could do something with those.
It's true. I really like those. They're good for like dioramas because you have those. You have the chains in the middle, right? And then you have like the
Yep.
torches that sat there, the braziers that they would light their arrows from. Like you got in that kit, you got like everything you needed to make a little mini diorama, right? Like it was crazy what all
Yeah.
was in that kit.
Yeah, and I've had mine just like kicking around in a drawer, waiting for like the right model to come along to use that as basing material. Just hasn't happened yet.
Sure, I get it. Yes, I mean when it comes to Bretonian stuff, dude. Yeah, I have too much, far too much still. I have a dozen unassembled Peg Knights. I have an unopened box of Grail Knights. I have a full opened and assembled but not painted unit of Grail Knights. I have a full unit of Questing Knights. I have a what else do I have? I don't know. More stuff. That's a good rundown. And that's having a fully painted Bretonian army, right? Like I have 60 painted archers and 60 painted or something like that. I think it's 60 something like that. Painted, footy dudes and 80 knights and all the characters. So,
Remember when they could do quad shots once a game?
mhm. It's like all of that stuff is just kind of like packed up, and I don't count it as like unpainted models because I'm not sure I really intend to paint it someday. I'm not sure I intend to do anything with it. At this point, I'm just like I like owning it because I love Bretonia, and it's something I know I can't replace if I get rid of. So it's more like at this point, it's more like your baseball card collection or your comic card collection, right? Or your comic collection. Sorry, it's yeah, like I have it because it's a collectible and it's interesting to me. So I just kind of boxed them up and I have them sitting there.
That's my Tomb King's army.
Sure, I get it. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
the
they're not
value of
anywhere on my
cards is
shelf
the
of like I
value.
intend to paint this, right? They're just there.
You're not fighting the war against the gray there, though, Vince.
I have plenty of stuff to paint, and I've been making my way very well through it. I haven't bought anything new for quite a while, other than like I painted my way through my Slanesh stuff. Out of the all the Slanesh stuff I bought, which was everything in multiples, this is what's left. This is it. Everything else has been painted. So, and I'm saving her. She's my reward for myself. I'm even working. You guys can't see it, but back behind me here is the display board. So,
Cool.
yep, it's not very impressive so far, but we'll get there. At any rate, the so that's the open day. Tom, your final thoughts? Happy overall, but what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a lot of people I heard complain about only seeing one new model, but
Okay.
like it doesn't bother me. Like we got a lot of content, folks. Like I'm super excited.
I'll take 3 books over 3 models any day.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, because like what I think we actually need at this point is people being able to use the armies of models they have that they haven't felt good about using. And like that Cities of Sigmar book puts an ungodly number of models back on the table around the world.
Yeah. And as long as the pattern continues, like that'll be at least a solid mid-table contender. So,
Yeah, and if that
like,
Tithe of Bones ends up being some whole new cool death thing,
Yep.
I'm good. And Autumn, we've talked about this one before. I am in complete disagreement. Iron Jaws needs 0 new units, barring perhaps the Mega Boss on Gorgrunta. I would accept that. Other than that, Iron Jaws is perfection. I want 0 new units. I love them. It's perfect. Stay small, tight. We're a tight, compact, efficient force. I love it. My personal taste.
Yeah,
But I understand your own taste.
I think they could do with another Underworld's warband that's brutes.
Oh yeah, sure. As opposed to like the 4 Ard boys or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know how many. I don't 2 brutes. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
can't be 3, but they're bigger than Stormcast. But 2 would be the same number as the Stormcast. Sort of size in like AOS wounds transmitted over. Right. So
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, but that's fine. Two brutes. One with the smasher and the claw, and one with the gore hacka. Easy. Done. They just murder their way through Shadespire. I'm good with that. It's fine. All right, gentlemen. I think we've beat this horse to death. We tested
Yeah,
some
I
new
think
stream stuff.
we've probably talked about this more than GW did.
Uh, we've done a full on couple seminars here, so that's good. But I'll play around more. I'm glad this works. This is our first test of this. This lets me know that hey, we actually can do the show past August 1st. Isn't that wonderful to find out? So that's great.
It's a terrible format, but yes, we can do it.
Look, man, I'll work on it. We'll figure out what we can do, but it's something. So we'll keep playing with it and refining it, and I'll add a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of top end on this. I just need to really learn the software and figure out what to do. But thank you all for being patient with the sound and with everything and coming along on this first journey. I do appreciate it very much. I don't want to change how we're doing things, but YouTube is making me. So there we are. And we will absolutely still be doing this all the time. Despite YouTube canning the normal way we do our show, the show must go on, as Queen said. So there we go. Paul, hey man, thanks, buddy. You joined yet another special episode, a very special episode
Very
under your
cool.
belt.
I
By
make
the,
an extra special.
there you go. By the way, for those who don't know, I'll link Paul's channel down below, Radio Free Hammer Hall. Paul puts up a lot of great content. So do go and check Paul out. Give him a sub. Check him out. Chris Thiel asking podcast format win. I think, Chris, that with this I can now record the audio. I need to figure out how to do that. And so I think I can record the audio from this as a separate file. And once I figure out how to do that, I'm gonna set up the podcast to upload, and I know how to do fine. And so then we'll have it. That it might not be right away, but I'm gonna figure it out, and then we'll do it. So okay, there we go. It is absolutely planned. All right. Well, thank you everybody. I hope this was still fun. If you've got feedback, or something you hated about the way we did the format, I know the sound was terrible at the beginning. We'll play with that more. Give a shout. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.